Good morning, Swati. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing good. How about you?
Great. Good to be talking again with you. It was an interesting chat that we had the last time with various tools and technologies around AI workflow. And this time around, I think we are going to deep dive with a particular tool and then walk through a couple of different use cases. So maybe if you want to give a quick intro of what the use cases are going to be and the tool of choice, that'd be great.
I want to talk about Mindstudio. I know we touched on it in the last recording as well. Um, so Mindstudio is an agent building studio. And why it's relevant for most people is because it is truly a low code, no code solution for anyone looking to automate their workflows. You could build agents and then publish it on your external websites through API or iframe capabilities. But in the way I'm exploring it right now is just to see how I can automate my own workflows on a day-to-day basis. So with Mindstudio, we are going to see two workflows today. The first workflow is generally for anyone who is absorbing a lot of content online. I tend to spend a lot of time reading in between meetings, reading different content. And if I like something, I want to file it in my archives. The second use case is a fact-checking agent. Why I built this agent is because as we are absorbing a lot of news and day-to-day publications, it's really becoming hard to discern what's real, what's fake. So I built this agent that allows me to fact check by scanning the internet, performing deep research, and then from there reverting back on whether or not the news corroborates, is it valid, and then provide some additional supporting resources. So those are the two agents we're going to be looking at today. So let's get started.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So what you're looking at right now, and on one of the publications that I tend to read on a regular basis, as you know, Andrew is an industry expert and a lot of great content comes from his newsletters. So I'm going to launch my agent. One of the things you're going to notice is some of the agents that I'm building now, I am publishing it as browser extension. So I can launch it directly from my browser. So I don't have to exit my screen. I don't have to navigate to a third system. And what it's doing is, because of the way I've built it, as soon as I launch it from my browser, it starts scanning the content of the page. And it's showing me step by step what it's doing. It's going to progress to generating the summary. And then in a few seconds, we should be able to see what it summarizes.
Got it. Perhaps just as a quick question, is this a extension provided by Mindstudio or you wrote this extension on your own?
So Mindstudio allows you to publish any agents that you build as a browser extension. So this is a native capability. And I'm going to show you some of the under the hood capabilities of Mindstudio so you can see how this works. So here it is. Here's the summary. You're going to see all the topics covered here. So it summarized the content of the page. And from here, I have a choice to email it and file it in my archives. So it's generating a Google Doc. If I go into my Google Drive, we should see the article published here. Here's what we just saw.
Got it. So it's really taking a brief summary of what you want to do, file it, and just as well, I'm sure there is a lot of people that are using Notion. I mean, just as well as it could go to a Google Drive, it could go to a Notion or
Yes,
right. Yeah, got it.
correct. Yeah, there are a lot of built-in connectors, or you can, like I mentioned earlier, you could leverage the API capabilities in Mindstudios to connect it to any of your native systems.
Got it. Yeah. And then
All
from
right.
a collaboration aspect, I can also see if you were probably researching or working on somebody with a particular article or a subject, it could also send them a notification and they could start working together. So yeah, I think makes sense.
Correct. So like you can see, I've also emailed it to myself. Now let's look at the second agent. We all are absorbing a lot of content. It's becoming hard to discern what's real, what's fake. So again, I have another browser agent, so I can launch it from any page as I'm reading the news. So I'm going to launch my fact check agent. Now this is going to take a few minutes to process because it's performing deep research. One thing to note is Mindstudio also has a deep research agent. So I can call an agent within an agent.
Got it.
So I can,
So in this particular instance, when you're invoking a deep research agent, do you want to maybe talk about like what exactly is it invoking behind the scenes?
Yes, so like I said, I am invoking the deep research agent that Mindstudio has built and provisioned in their workflow. It basically searches internet like you would on Google. It scrapes the content from a lot of different pages, validates the credibility of each of these. Then from there, it summarizes and synthesizes the information and provides you the output.
Got it. So I'm just spitballing here. So, but if I wanted to use 𝗵𝗶𝗀𝗃 as my deep research agent from Mindstudio, in lieu of calling Mindstudio's own deep research, I could spin and call 𝗵𝗶𝗀𝗃 to come back with the answer.
You know, that's a good call out, Sree. I have not experimented with that API yet, but in theory you could, because Mindstudio allows you to, as long as two systems can talk through API, you should be able to do what you're describing.
Right. So from a workflow standpoint, your point earlier about anybody could use something like this, we're not necessarily changing the workflow or the business process of how you would go about doing things. We're just providing additional tooling for you to leverage as a part of your research.
That's correct. All right, so why don't we do this? Because like I said, deep research takes time. Let's look under the hood and see what's really happening here. All right, so first workflow, which scrapes the internet and then generates a summary. What you're seeing is the workflow that I have for this agent. There is a start function. Notice here, I have described this as a browser extension, but you could call it from a third-party system, or you could just have an interface where you can enter the URL yourself. From here, I'm just calling a standard scraper fire crawl, which is really good in quality. From there, I have my instructions on what to do with this scraped information. So of course, this is key. And I tend to use a good mix of ChatGPT and its native instruction generator to come up with instructions that meets my goals. I have integrations with tools to send it to an email, to publish it to my Google Drive. And then an additional thing that I didn't show is I can actually chat with this agent now. I can ask follow-up questions around this information.
Okay, that makes sense. Cool.
Why I like Mindstudio is because it truly delivers on the promise of being low code, no code. It has a lot of native capabilities. I like its prompt generation. I like that it has a lot of connectors, built-in blocks that aligns with most common workflows. And what I really like about it, though, is that in the process of building, naturally, we're going to miss a few things. That's the process of developing anything new. It has really good debugging capabilities. So I can get down to any run and see step by step what my workflow is doing if I'm trying to troubleshoot something.
Got it. Okay.
And it goes all the way down to how much this request costed me.
Got it. Maybe towards the end, maybe we could come back on cost and price, because I do have a couple additional questions, but yeah, this is great.
So that's the first workflow. This is the summary of the fact check agent. Here, it's telling me whether or not the credibility of this information is high. It's showing me these are some of the additional resources I corroborated this information from, additional context around this information, supporting evidence, any additional insights, plus it's giving me all of the citation links so I can actually go and read more.
Got it.
So let's look under the hood. So again, this is a very simple workflow. I'm launching it through browser extension. I'm scraping the details from the page using the scraper. I'm asking it to generate the summary first so that I can validate whether or not you did the right deep research. And notice, here is the deep research agent that Mindstudio provides out of the box. Now, this version is not published yet, what you're seeing on my screen, but I was also experiment with connecting it to my database of what I qualify as valid media with RAG capabilities. I have my media list here. I could load an image, for instance, right? And it will turn that from unstructured to structured content. So this is the extracted data from the file that I loaded. This is the chunking. So it's broke down that file into 2 chunks, as you can see. And then this is the vector embeddings.
Got it. Okay.
I think these are some of the things to be aware of. One of the other things I want to call out actually with Mindstudio, another thing I really like is that you can change your model settings here. So if I am building something that's highly prescriptive in nature, I will turn the temperature lower And if I'm doing something more creative, I'll turn the temperature higher. By default, it's midway. Another thing worth noting, I have the ability to pick which model I want to use for my processing. And for each block, Mindstudio allows me to point it to different models. So for my topic summary, I could choose to change my model OpenAI. Right? I could, let's say, point it to Mini. Whereas for summarization, I could use 𝗀.
Got it. Okay. So even
It
to
has a pretty
stay
massive
within
library of models.
Got it. So even to stay within the OpenAI context, I could do something like O3 for a research, and then I could use 4.0 for a general purpose summary. So it has the ability by node to switch what model that we want to use. Got it. So yeah, maybe just a couple of things. I know there is a monthly cost to Mindstudio. We don't have to go through the numbers, but what does Mindstudio cover? For instance, Firecrawl, is it provided as a part of Mindstudio subscription, or when do you have to go buy external subscriptions to when is it bundled with Mindstudio?
So currently I'm building with what's available within Mindstudio. Firecrawl is native Mindstudio. Also, some of the connectors you saw with Gmail, Google Drive, these are all native. So I don't have to go subscribe, for instance, for Google Workspace to use the API connection. So it's all part of your Mindstudio subscription. Of course, what you have, what you don't have varies by the level, the tier. What you do pay in addition to that is for the tokens.
Got it.
And it's at cost. So they don't have any markup on these tokens.
Yeah.
So you pay as priced in their marketplace. What they do provide, though, is based on the tier, they will provide you a certain amount of tokens for free.
Okay. So the Mindstudio is really looking to be a one-stop shop for development. And then one other question I had is, maybe this is just for the benefit of the audience. Once you build an agent, you talked about deploying that agent or making it available, if you will. One way was through the browser extension. Can you maybe talk about if somebody had built an app, how would you connect a regular full stack app, a web app, to a Mindstudio? Because some of those use cases would also be like that.
Absolutely. So I'm actually working on that use case right now. You do need to be on a higher tier of subscription. You could use Mindstudio's API capabilities to connect and expose the agent. So your external layers are really more suitable for you to control provision, access, commercialization of these agents, whereas this is a good tool for you to build your agents, debug your agents, and then from here, of course, track and trace the usability and the consumption.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I think that makes sense because there is definitely the aspect of building the app, and then there is the aspect of building the agent and having multiple ways to launch the agent with the browser extension from your app being as a headless agent where it just runs in the background. That's pretty interesting. I did not quite honestly know about the browser extension, but I'm glad I learned some of that through this session.
Yeah, it's been phenomenal, especially because it's given me the tool to build any agent quickly. If I see myself doing something repeatedly, I'm like, okay, let's just go build an agent for it, right? If you are looking to publish it on a more commercial grade basis, in addition to API, I should also mention you can also invoke it through webhooks. So there's a lot of different capabilities here.
Yeah, if Mindstudio is looking for a solutions engineer, I think they have it in you.
I will let Dimitri know.
Yeah. Okay, all right, this was great. So there are two things that I took away. One is I had heard about Mindstudio from you. I've not logged in and checked it out, but I'm glad we had the session. And I really like the cost part of it because cost is definitely a concern for a lot of people as they're building. The other interesting aspect is the app itself. So just like we talked about fake or real article, for me, I see a lot of apps every day and I'm like, am I going to use this app or not? I can see myself use this app. So I think that's really the litmus test. Thanks again. This was great. So we'll wrap it up here and then we will come back for segment number 3.
Wonderful. Looking forward to it.